Hi, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where in the world you are joining us from today. I am Diane Krokora, CEO of PartnerPath. Welcome to Technology Channel Videocast. With me, I have a very special guest, Chris Rimmer, who is Vice President of IBM's Cloud Partner Ecosystem. Hi, Chris.
Good day. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited about the holidays around the corner. I know it's just the beginning of December, but I am looking forward already to the holiday season. I've got some
And
travel plans.
I
So,
share the sentiment. I share the sentiment, no doubt. We've
so
got a
Chris,
long way to go. My business, we're here till the very end, and I'm excited. Actually, we're gonna have a great month. So
there to the bitter end. You guys don't get vacation until December 31st.
that's right.
For us, we're pretty much done somewhere around the 20th. No one wants to talk to me after the 20th
No,
of December.
I think you're right. They probably don't want to talk to us either, but we're not going away. So
Yeah,
that's how that works.
I love IBM. We're going to push it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
So, Chris, let's just start out today. Just tell me a little bit about, I know you have the cloud partner ecosystem, so tell me a little bit about, what that means to you guys at IBM.
Fair enough. So the organization that I lead is comprised of a team of folks focused on four general product areas for IBM. That's IBM Cloud, both infrastructure and platform as a service. IBM Cloud Integration, which is our middleware portfolio and basically the technologies that roll around that. Our analytics business, which is not just analytics, but also our data management. So if you think of legendary brands like Cognos and DB2 and things like that, part of the portfolio. And then, of course, our Watson platform, which is probably the newest member of all of this. And our objective is to actually go out into the ecosystem, and we deal with ISVs, we deal with GSIs, we deal with our end-tier channels, so VADVAR and reseller ecosystem. And the idea here is to meet all of those types of partners, in the way that they want to go to market, and try and make sure that we've got a way to bring our products through those partners to their clients. So, a pretty interesting mix of products with a very diverse array of partner types, and it sure keeps me and my team very busy. I will say that.
I was going to say, at IBM, you must have some unique challenges. I don't know, 400 products or so, and some unique opportunities, particularly as you're talking about a well-established partner ecosystem.
Yeah. Well, and that's the good news is we do have a well-established partner ecosystem, particularly around some of the products like analytics and cloud integration. The cloud services business, or what we're now calling IBM Cloud, that's new territory for us, honestly. And right, when you think about cloud and the ecosystem that we're building, we're years behind, I'll say, the leader in cloud, right? And if you look at the thousands and thousands of companies that they've got supporting that platform, that's one of the major focus areas for my team going into next year, is to see how we start to add to our portfolio. We have a different kind of partner makeup, but same kind of challenge. We need to grow our ecosystem and extend the support we have for our clients with the services that our partners can bring them. So an interesting model with a lot of change going on right now.
Changes, as always, end of the year, we always see change. So something's going to happen in 2018, so we hear, for everybody. So one of the things that we talk a lot about is the business models, and how do you engage partners around business models, particularly in the cloud. And I know you and I have had a quick conversation around this idea of an agent program. And so I just wanted to ask a little bit about, how are you taking all of those different products and the wide variety of partner types that you have, and how do you engage them around kind of the different models? Is it all resell? I know you guys are looking at an agent program. What's the difference between agent and referral? But you can start with kind of the partner models.
This is a great question, especially for folks from a place like an IBM or other companies that have what I'll call, and what you would probably call, a more legacy channel model, combined with a new model that's going to support the world of SaaS or as a service in general, right? So from our perspective, we have a traditional focus on a traditional channel with a distribution model for software, a transactional model that's worked well for decades. We're in no hurry to change that model, and that exists as it has, and we'll continue to refine and enhance and support that. Now, what gets interesting is that works well for software that's transactionally sold. You take title to a license. We need to transfer that title, and in exchange for the title, we take home some dollars. That's how that model works. That's well understood by everybody. Now, what gets interesting is the SaaS model, or the as a service model. And the reason I say that gets interesting is that everybody comes to that business with a different kind of thinking. Traditional resellers look at that and go, well, it's not traditional resale, and I don't get to book my revenue in the same way. What am I going to do to inspire my sellers to pay attention over the long haul? Because a recurring revenue model requires a longer term perspective. Yeah, and most of my sellers, they just want to get paid on that big transaction right now and then go sailing for the next month or whatever.
Well, go buy a boat.
That's it, right? So that's one issue that drives a different kind of incentive model, right? And there's another dynamic that's at play for the as a service, and that's that if you think about what clients expect, well, if they're buying a service, they should just be able to buy the service. Where they need help is with the implementation, the configuration, so the services that go around the service they're buying. Think about a big property like a Salesforce, right? I'm sure most of your watchers have experience with Salesforce. I know I certainly do. We can all turn it on, but it's far from being useful until you bring in some help. So there's a model around influence, referral, inspiration, just alignment. I don't know what word. I use all those words deliberately because we have different programs designed to address different levels of commitment to the support of the consumption of our products. And that's a work in progress, to be honest. IBM's still refining that model for our company on a global basis right now. And I'm part of some of those discussions that are taking place globally because we want to get it right. We realize that we don't want to leave our traditional channel behind. We want to inspire them to play. So we bring some incentives that might work for them. But for those that are truly born in the cloud and all they want to do is services, for them, resale is of no value. So the margin that I offer, not interesting. What they want are incentives for, are you going to give me a kicker if you think you're going to deploy X amount of product with a run rate on a monthly basis of, say, $1,000, and I get it to $5,000 6 months earlier than planned? What are you going to do for me, right? How do we address that kind of incentive? Those kinds of things are coming. Nobody has the perfect answer yet, right?
Yeah, and we call it, for those born in the cloud or those that are moved to a service around the service, right? Resale is irrelevant, right? It's irrelevant to their business model, right? It's not going to move the needle for them at all. So for everybody that's come out of a traditional, you sell it to distribution and distribution sells it to a reseller and a reseller sells it to the end customer, right? The nice linear model that we used to have. Now for the next generation of partners that are born in the cloud, or even if they've already transitioned and they're traditional, what we would call resellers, and they're moving to a managed service model or some sort of service around the service, as you said, then that resell dollar is still irrelevant to their overall business model. You just can't give them enough.
That's right. And what's interesting is I don't think that we have settled on there being one right way. I think what we've settled on, there are multiple ways to drive affiliation with that kind of partner, because they're going to come to vendors like IBM and demand a very different kind of response than they might from, say, a market maker or some other kind of entity that's out there that doesn't look like a traditional distributor. Now, let me get specific. One of the things that's interesting about the recurring revenue model, and that you mentioned agent program earlier, we at IBM are looking at this because it exists. For those that come from the telco world, in a recurring revenue model there, the agent model is well understood. Well, what does that really look like? Well, you can think of it as a manufacturer's rep or somebody who's really out there trying to...
Manufacturer's rep organization, MROs, back to my 30 years ago for me.
Right. It's like, really? But guess what? There's a reason that those models existed. And if you think about where we're headed with as a service, in a lot of cases, it might make sense. I'll give you an example. One of the things that we're considering, and I can't share everything, but what I can share is think about a subset of our market. If you look at the tens of thousands of customers we have, and actually in North America, it's north of 100,000 in North America alone, right? These are people that have leveraged some IBM product somewhere. We're obviously not interested in taking our direct sales team to that world. Services perspective, i.e. cloud services, either IaaS or PaaS, who's really in the best position to go out and influence a small regional credit union or a local hospital or the local Department of Sanitation. I'm just trying to come up with some small. These are small entities, but they have real budgets, they have real need, and they need cloud. I'll say for my sake, cloud, and they want to get on a recurring model. Do they call IBM? No. Just like I don't call GM when I go to buy my car. But if I'm going to lease it, I also don't go to the dealer, right? I'm not going to a dealer. If I want to, get a quick ride, I'm calling Uber. Well, we're looking at the agents as the potential to have reach that we don't. And that's where the manufacturer rep is a little better version of this story than, say, the Uber example. From our perspective, there is a known, particularly in infrastructure, there is a known set of these agents out there who have been playing with hosting providers, managed service providers, telcos, for decades, right? And they are an established, known entity to a very large swath of these kinds of companies that I mentioned, regional banks or regional credit unions, smaller hospitals and medical institutes, companies that have had infrastructure needs, but they may have started with the telcos 20 years ago and they migrated off to a service provider. Well, these agents ended up becoming trusted advisors from a buying perspective. And the model that works is, paying them on an absolute basis as a part of what, revenues come in from that client. Not upfront payments, not some kind of promise. No, they're guns for hire, right? We pay them based on the revenues that come in, and we pay them pretty well. But the model is, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Stop there.
No, go ahead. But the model is, I was just going to say, do you pay them forever? Do they own the?
Well, so that's part of the issue, is how long is forever? At what point do we reserve the right to say, for example, what happens when an agent goes into, small company XYZ that becomes very big company XYZ, or they're working with a department in, say, Seattle, but headquarters is in Atlanta. Do they own the whole company, right? Especially if it's a multinational corporation. Okay. Well, the way we're dealing with that, for example, Diane, is by cordoning off a subset of the accounts where we know there's no coverage from IBM today and no partner coverage. We're not aware of any partner. No other partners or agents or anyone, frankly, are eligible to go into that place. But we try to separate our channels and divide, especially for a program like this where it's relatively new for us, to effectively protect the new opportunity. And then, yes, in terms of comp, it is a direct model, direct from us to the agent to the client. So there isn't a multi-tier, margin that's needed, right? So the payment that we make is in perpetuity to a certain degree. And again, I can't be super specific,
right,
but you need to think beyond 1 or 2 years, right? Otherwise, these agents are going to play all us vendors off each other, right? We have to make it worth their while to keep growing the footprint. That's how they get paid.
Well, so we're going to end up.
We want them to stay loyal.
We're going to end up with a model that happens in the cell phone world, where if like when AT&T only pays their agents for 2 years, and that agents after 2 years turns them over to Verizon. Verizon pays them for 2 years, and then they say, okay, well, you're not going to get paid anymore after 2 years. So that agent turns them back to AT&T because they only get really kind of paid in terms of their big margin around kind of that customer switching. So let's not do that.
Well, it's funny that you say that. Think about Verizon and AT&T. They're not stupid, right? They spend billions of dollars on new customer acquisition. But that's the problem. They spend billions of dollars on new customer acquisition. The big, bright, and shiny ads, the battle that takes place on every TV show, every website, every sporting event that you go to, there's the battle being borne out in front of you. That's new customer acquisition taking place. So there's really, a heavy emphasis on getting you signed, because the thinking is once you're signed, you're good. I think we're taking a more sophisticated approach, and I think all of your clients and all of your stakeholders would want to think hard about making that mistake, because what we've realized is the ongoing cost of that agent can easily be justified when you think about what we're not having to do to spend all that money on new customer acquisition. And by the way, the nice thing about our technology, I can't say for everybody, is it's relatively sticky. I don't mean in a lock-in way. What I mean is the value is clear, right? The client's not going to leave tomorrow just because the other vendor dropped the price by 3%.
Right. It's not a
The vendor's in a very strong, or the agent's in a good position to kind of help defend the decision.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Make sense?
Well, thank you, Chris, for spending some time talking about your cloud model and this whole idea of we're seeing more and more around agents in this agent program. Very different than what we consider a referral program, where you just throw 10% of the deal over to the guy who gives you a lead, and then IBM has to go run and close it and manage it forever. Very different. And a lot of people say agent program, referral program, same thing. That's not what we're talking about here.
Very different. And to be clear, as we close, we definitely have a referral program, and it's very well understood and it's very long lived. In the services space, IaaS, PaaS, we're starting to really take a hard look at agent because we think it's got some merit. So more to come. Look forward to sharing with you more when we have it all figured out.
I can't wait. You know, maybe early in the new year.
Yeah, let's hope so.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Chris. You have a great week.
Yeah, appreciate it. Take care.